yogis, welcome. Thank you for joining me for some yoga. We'll be doing a yoga for sciatica or for your hips and your lower back. This involves a lot of gentle stretching. We're going to be moving at a slow and meditative pace. You can absolutely use props in this class, but you can also absolutely not use props in this class. If you want to use props and you happen to have something handy, you can use a yoga strap. This will just be at the end to do a couple of leg stretches. If you don't have a yoga strap, feel free to use a belt, piece of rope. Some people even use just a sweat sock if they're pretty flexible, looped over the ball of the foot. Anything that will help you to reach your feet while you're lying on your back. The other option is to use a block for some extra stability. Totally optional. You can also use a water bottle or a stack of books as your block if you want to have that extra stability. We do a couple of lunges, or you can place your hands on the block to give you a little bit more lift. You can also do the class with absolutely no props and still gain the full benefit. I'll be showing how to use these, but also how not to use these. So you can just set those, you don't need them at first, just off to the side of your mat if you happen to have props that you want to use later. And we're going to get started here by lying on our backs. And when you lie on your back, you just want to come gently down to the mat and hug your knees towards your chest when you get there. So as you guide yourself down onto the floor, you can hug one knee to the chest, and then the other knee into the chest. And this is just your base pose tonight, this little apanasana. And as you hug the knees into the chest, I'm holding my hands around my shins, but you could also be holding the backs of the thighs if that is preferable for your body. And just notice, you don't need to do anything unless it's just little adjustments to get comfortable here. Notice the compression of your legs against your belly. Notice the gentle weight there. Notice how it makes your breath feel to have your knees hugged in towards your chest. This is a great option here whenever your back, especially your lower back, is troubling you. Hug the knees into the chest. This creates a little bit of space in your vertebrae. This is also a great alternative to child's pose. You might even notice as you're doing this, this is basically the same thing as child's pose, only we are on our backs instead of on our shins. It's essentially just switching your relationship to gravity. And take another deep breath here. And go ahead and release your left foot to the floor. Keep your right knee hugged in towards the chest. And then here you're going to cross your right ankle over the top of your left knee. And you can stay right there. That might feel just fine. Or you can draw your left knee a little more in towards your chest if you like, starting to stretch out the outer right hip. If you do happen to suffer from sciatica or even just regular old tight hips, it is a fantastic stretch. It's easily accessible and it works into the outer hip and specifically into your piriformis muscle, which runs deep underneath your glute muscles. And when it's tight, it can pinch on that sciatic nerve and give you that literal pain in the butt. You might notice I'm moving a little here. It feels nice. Just rock really gently side to side. You can try that. You can just be totally still. Take another deep breath here. And you're going to release your left foot to the floor. Uncross, hug your right knee back into your chest for a moment. Feel the gentle compression on the right side of your belly. And then release the right foot. Draw the left knee now into the chest. Give it a little hug. Again, you can hold the shin or you can always hold the thigh if that feels better. And then you cross the left ankle over the top of the right knee, and especially as this is the beginning of class, this might feel plenty. Just letting this left knee kind of open towards the bottom of the mat can already be a pretty intense hip stretch. But if you need a little more, you can always draw your right knee into your chest. It's your supine pigeon pose. And again, you can move or not. Find what works for your body. Find where you feel a good stretch on the outside now of your left hip. We are all unique. All of our bones and muscles are unique and attached to each other in unique ways. It's more important that the pose is functional for you. You're stretching the hip, and that the pose looks a certain way. Once you're ready, you can release the right foot down to the floor. Hug the left knee again back into the chest for a moment. Feel that gentle compression on the left side of your abdomen. And then go ahead and release the left foot to the floor. We're going to do some dynamic bridge poses. So set your feet a stable distance away from your hips. Bring your arms out to the side, palms down to support you. As you inhale, pull your belly button towards the floor. It's like you're trying to glue your low back to the mat here. So it's as close as is possible for your body. You might feel your abdominals be a little active. And then on an inhale, just lift your hips. It doesn't have to be far, it can be just a few inches. And then gently release. Inhale, find a little bit of lift. And exhale to release. We're just going to flow up and down a few times. Range of motion is really very much your prerogative. What feels good? What feels like you're starting to activate your core muscles a little bit, your core abdominal muscles? No discomfort in the lower back. If you like, you can always bring your arms up overhead as you lift the hips. And then bring your hands to the floor as you lower your arms. Again, you want to find what's functional for your body. And try 3 more breaths here. And again, it's not how high your hips get that it's important. It's you just feel this light little bit of activation. And then you release. This time, you're going to hug your knees one and then the other back in towards your chest. And then take your knees over to the right side for a twist. I'm stacking my knees, but you can always straighten and bend the legs asymmetrically if you need to. You can extend your left arm out to the side and even look to the left to deepen the twist if that feels nice. Bring your left knee first into the center line and then your right knee. Give them that hug in towards the chest and then bring them to the other side. And again, you find the twist that's functional for your body. It's completely fine to adjust and find what feels good. This is one of those classes where it's not about working so much into the strength of the muscles, though we'll do a little bit of that, especially in our core to help support our hips and back, but to find the best stretch out for your muscles. When you're ready, bring your knees back to the center line. Give them that big hug either over the shins or line the back of the thighs. Maybe rock a little bit from side to side. And as you're ready, you can rock yourself all the way over to one side. Use your hands to press yourself up and make your way to a table pose. Hands under your shoulders and knees underneath your hips. Your fingers will spread nice and wide. If you need a cushion, please don't hesitate to create a little crease in your mat or to grab a blanket or towel and put it underneath your knees. We will be doing a few things on the knees today. As you're ready, you get into your table pose, you shrug your shoulders back, you relax your abdomen, you lift your tailbone and your gaze, and you find your cow pose. As you exhale, tuck your tailbone down, lift your belly up, find your cat pose. Inhale. Cat. And exhale. Cat. And just allow yourself to move at a rhythm, at a pace that again feels really good. We spend so much time ignoring our bodies or making our bodies do things that do not feel particularly good, that it is really important. It's not just nice, it's important, it's essential to allow your body to know what feels good, to listen to your body when it tells you what feels good. Take one more cow and one more cat. When you'll come back to your neutral spine, shrug your shoulders a little bit back away from your ears here. Tuck your right set of toes under, reach your right foot back to the back of the mat, reach your left arm forward. Press your right heel actively back, lift your right hip a little bit so that you feel a little bit more space between your right hip bone and the floor. This is your inhale. And as you exhale, you're going to twist to your left. You can take your left arm to the sky. Keep lifting your right hip. Squeeze your inner thighs a little bit together. Hold here for a few beats. As you're ready, you're going to circle your left hand back to the back of the mat and down underneath the shoulder. Inhale, lift your right leg behind you. And now as you exhale, take your right knee towards your nose. A little bit of core strength. Inhale, right leg reaches behind you. Exhale, lift your belly up and in, knee to nose. This is your bird dog, little plank core action. And if this feels good and you want a little bit more, you're welcome to add the extension of your left arm in addition to your right leg. Left arm and right leg reach out. And then lift the belly up and then draw the elbow and the knee to the center line. Either way, you're going to do about 3 or 4 more. Last one. Hug the knee in, potentially the elbow in. Reach out with your inhale. With your exhale, place your foot down, place your hand down, and draw your right knee in. Turn your right wrist around, place the back of your right hand on the floor. Just give a little gentle pressure there, releasing any weight in the wrist. Maybe rocking a little forward and back on the hand. And then we'll go for the other side. Tuck your left set of toes under, reach your left foot back to the back of the mat, and focus on lifting your left hip already. When you lift your left hip, you automatically firm up your core, your belly starts to lift, and you want to feel that. Then reach your right arm out as you inhale. As you exhale, you pick up your twist. Keep trying to lift the left hip. Inner thighs come together. You're squeezing them inwards. Nice. you stay. And on your exhale, you take your right hand back to the back of the room and down underneath your shoulder. Lift your left leg as you inhale again. As you exhale, draw the knee to the nose. Inhale to reach. Exhale, knee to nose. Again, you can stay right here. This is quite stable, but you still get quite a nice amount of core work. If you want a little more, you can add the extension of the right arm with the left leg, and then knee and elbow come to the center line. 3 or 4 more. Again, work at the pace. Work in the variation that feels good. Last one, reach everything out as you inhale. And then as you exhale, hand down, foot down, left knee in. Turn the left hand around so the fingers are pointing back a little towards the knee. You press into the back of the hand. Doesn't have to be much, it's just to stretch out the wrists. You can rock a little forward and back if you want. And then as you turn that left hand around, walk your left hand further forward as if you were going to crawl forward, and then walk your right hand up next to your left hand. Slide your shoulders over your wrists. Shrug them back as you inhale. And as you exhale, lower to the floor. Inhale, shrug your shoulders back. Press the tops of your feet firmly to the mat. And just like we did in the bridge pose, you want to glue yourself to the mat. So take your belly towards the floor as much as possible. Inhale, lift the center of your chest. Little cobra, if you're ready, you can always come a little higher. Just be very mindful today that what you are not doing is squeezing your glutes together. You're not squeezing your butt muscles. You're using the muscles of your back to lift you up. You can always test yourself by floating your hands. Are you using the pressure of your hands to the floor, or are you using the muscles of your back? Inhale here. As you exhale, release, plant your hands down, press back towards a child's pose. Knees could be together. Our knees could come a little wider apart. Forehead to the floor. Or maybe create a cushion for your head on your hands. Again, this is the basically opposite, the upside down of our Apanasana, the hugging the knees to the chest. So if child's pose ever is not functional for your body, it hurts your knees, it's too much on the tops of your feet, you can always roll over onto your back and hug your knees towards your chest, and vice versa. Once you're ready, you're going to make your way back to your table pose. You are more than welcome to stay right here, or you can join me in tucking your toes under and lifting your knees and making your way to downward facing dog. If you choose downward facing dog, you might take a few moments and pedal your feet around. Make any little movements there that feel pleasant and natural and easy for your hips and your lower back. Take another deep breath in your table or your downward facing dog. And from here, we're going to come into a couple of different variations on lunges. When you're ready, you're going to lift your right foot up into the sky as you breathe in. And you're going to step your right foot towards the front of the mat, seeing if you can set your right foot next to your right hand. Bring your left knee, if it's not already there, to the floor and tuck your toes. Here is where you might like to use a block. And you can start by using your block on the inside of your right foot. You can use it to rest your hands on if you need to. And you can stay quite low in this lunge for the first part, or you can start to lift up a little higher, hands onto your thigh, hands onto your hips, or arms up to the sky. Inhale here. As you exhale, you might decide to lean a little forward into the front knee, stretching the front of the left hip. Take a few breaths. If you have not yet made your way up from hands on the floor, hands on the block, come and bring your hands, everybody, onto your thigh. Press your hands into your thigh, lift yourself up a little bit, roll your shoulders back. It's like you're using your hands to separate your belly from the top of your leg. And then then here we're going to take a little side bend. You can keep your right hand on your thigh. This is again a great place to use a block. You can place it on the outside edge of your right hip and place your hand there for extra stability. Either way, lift your left arm up as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, lean to your right, so towards your front leg. Find a stretch along the left front side of the body. You can turn to look up if it feels good. If you're using a block, you can always go a little lower. As you inhale, come back to the center line. As you exhale, fold forward. Plant both of your hands under your shoulders. Block can just move out to the side. And step your right knee back next to your left knee. Inhale, find cow pose. Exhale, find cat pose. And repeat that twice more between cow and cat. And then you come back to neutral. From neutral, you could stay in your table pose for a few more breaths. You can even repeat cow cat if you want, or you can tuck your toes and come to your downward facing dog. In your downward facing dog, you can lift and lower the heels, one at a time, or both together. Just take another deep, full breath, your table or your dog. And float your left foot to the sky as you inhale. As you exhale, step your left foot up by your left hand, assisting it as needed. The right knee will come to the floor. Again, you could use your fingertips on the floor. You are welcome to use your hands on your block. You can stay quite low, and this might feel just right. Staying low might feel like a really nice stretch at the front of the right hip. Might feel nice and stable, which is important when working into the lower back. Maybe you like to come up a little higher. You can do hands to thigh, hips, or again, arms to sky. And first here, you just take a few breaths. If it feels good, you can lean a little forward, increasing that stretch now on the right front side of the body. Inhale here. And then begin to bring your hands down onto your thigh, whether you're lifting them up from the floor or down from the sky. Press the hands onto the thigh, lift the belly away from it, roll the shoulders back. So you create this nice amount of space. You're just engaging your core to support you in your side bend. The left hand could stay on the thigh, or the left hand again could come to a block on the outside of the hip. Bring your right arm up as you inhale, and as you exhale, lean to the left towards your front knee. Shrug your shoulders down away from your ears. Again, this should feel good. It might feel a little intense, especially at first, but it should be a positive experience for your muscles. Inhale to come back to the center line. As you exhale, you're going to fold forward. Plant the hands. Step the left knee back next to the right knee. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Repeat again twice more. Your own pace. Feel free at this point to kind of funk it up a little bit and move around in many different ways. You can go more side to side. Bend your elbows deeper. See what feels good to your spine. When you're ready, come back to neutral. Again, you can stay in your table, continue to move there. You can tuck your toes and lift to downward facing dog. If you choose downward facing dog, you might experiment with bending your knees, bringing your belly and your thighs closer together. Noticing how that might help create extra length in your lower back. Keep lifting your hips up and back towards the place where the wall meets the ceiling behind you. And then on an inhale, you're going to float your right foot to the sky from your table or your downward facing dog. Step your right foot again up between the hands, moving it next to the right fingertips. Again, you can stay low for the first part of the lunge. You could use your block, or you can start to come up a little higher. Take a few deep breaths. Feel free to lean forward if it feels right. Now again here, start to squeeze your inner thighs together. It's like a little scissor. The right hip draws back and the left hip draws forward. And the inner thighs start to firm up a little bit. Going to add on here a twist. So again, if you have come all the way up or you're still all the way down, you're going to come to the midpoint, hands onto the thigh. Press the thigh down, lift the belly up, shoulders back, and then start to twist to your right. And that might feel plenty, just kind of looking over, taking your right shoulder a little to the back of the mat. Maybe you want a little more, you can leave your left hand on the thigh and you can start to open your right hand behind you. Keep squeezing your inner thighs together for stability. Feel free to look back to the back of the room if it feels stable here. The other thing you can do if you feel the wobbles is tuck your back toe under if that feels good in your knee. Does not feel great in my knee today. On your inhale, come back to the center line. Fold forward, plant your hands, and step back. You could do table here, or you could tuck your toes and come again to downward facing dog. Take a deep breath there. And then inhale, come forward to a plank, high plank, or walking the hands forward, shoulders of the wrists, low plank. As you exhale, knees up or down, make your way all the way to the floor. Once you have your nose just hovering right above the mat, reach your arms back behind you. Palms of the hands are going to face the floor here. Glue the tops of your feet down. Start to glue your belly button down. It's like you're taking your tailbone and you're pressing it down towards the floor. On an inhale, keep gluing the tailbone, keep gluing the feet, and lift the center of the chest. Reach the fingers back like airplane wings, half locust. As you exhale, release. As you inhale, lift, half locust. Again, it's all about using the muscles of your back to lift, not using your hands like in a cobra. Exhale to release. One more, inhale to lift. Exhale to release, bring your hands under your shoulders, press back, table pose, or downward facing dog pose. Take a few breaths, feel free to move a little bit. Maybe it's just swaying your hips, pedaling your feet, bending your knees. On an inhale, you'll lift your left leg behind you and step your left foot to the front of the mat. If it's not already there, bring your right knee to the floor. For the first part of the lunge, you might stay low. You might stay medium. You might come high. You might lean forward, or you might pull back. Experiment, test, explore. Begin to activate your inner thighs. Right hip a little forward, left hip a little back, scissoring the legs. Find that activity. Inhale here. And as you exhale, make your way to that mid-sized lunge, hands on the thigh. Push the thigh away, lift the belly up, and then you can find your twist over towards your left. And it might feel perfectly fine just to keep your hands on the thigh. I always find that's a little more stable. Or if you need a little more, the right hand can stay down and the left hand can come behind. Relax your shoulders, especially if you take the left arm behind you. Keep squeezing the inner thighs together and just notice that we're not moving fast. We haven't really done a lot of vinyasas today, but this is not easy. Inhale, you come back to the center line, you plant the hands down, and you step back. You could go table, or tuck your toes and lift your knees, come to downward facing dog. Take a few breaths. Move in the way that feels good to your body. When you're ready, come back to a neutral table or dog and make your way to your plank. Shoulders over the wrists. Exhale, lower yourself all the way down to the floor. Stretch your hands back behind you. Plant the fingertips on the floor. Glue the tops of the feet down. Glue the tailbone down. And then as you inhale, lift up. Reach back through your fingertips. This time we're just going to hold, if you can, for 3 deep breaths. Squeeze squeeze your inner thighs a little bit together. Pull the fingertips to the back of the room. Inhale here. And as you exhale, release hands under the shoulders, go back. You could take a rest in child's pose if you like. Or again, you could come to hang out in your downward dog or your table pose. Couple more breaths to play, to explore. Lifting to your neutral table or downward facing dog. On an inhale, you'll float your right foot to the sky. On your exhale, step your right foot by your right hand again. This time you want your back knee to be elevated. So take a moment, lift it up. This one is a little tricky. It requires stability. So if you feel wobbly, you can always step your back foot a little further in. Shrug your shoulders back. Feel free to use your block to get you part way up, and then walk your hands onto your thigh. Press your hands to the thigh, tilt the tailbone towards the floor, and come up into your lunge. Shrug your shoulders back. If you feel really wobbly, grab a chair. Put your hand on the wall. That's completely fine here. Squeeze your inner thighs together. If you feel stable, you can come all the way up towards the sky. And then think about just softening your back knee a little bit. It's not all the way down to the floor, but it's not totally straight. It's somewhere in the middle. And that gives you a little more kind of shock absorption. Inhale here. And as you exhale, you twist over to your right. You could again place your hands on your thigh. Just go a little ways. Or you could place your left hand on your thigh and open your right arm back behind you. Hold for a few breaths or as long as you can. If having the back knee lifted isn't working, you can always drop the back knee down again. Find that little bit of softness there. And then inhale, come back to the center. Exhale to fold. Plant your hands down and step back, downward dog or table pose. Just take a few breaths here. And we'll move directly to the other side this time. As you're ready, you'll float your left foot to the sky and step your left foot between your hands. Think of it bringing it right next to the left thumb. The back knee again is lifted. You can always adjust your stance here. Maybe use a block to kind of get you part way up. Already you can be squeezing your inner thighs together to give you stability. Maybe you can wake your way up, hands to thigh. Maybe you can peel the belly again away from the thigh. Find that little bit of softness in your back knee. If you feel really stable today, maybe the arms come up to the sky. Take a few breaths here. Inner thighs are working really hard. Shoulders are relaxing. And as you're ready, you can start to find that twist. Feel free to drop your hands to your thighs to give you that extra stability. Twist a little bit over to your left. That might feel like plenty. You can always drop the back knee down, or you can come a little further, opening the left arm. Lift your belly away from your thigh. Find that softness in the back knee if it's still lifted up. Just another deep breath. And then inhale. Come back to the center line. Exhale, fold forward and step back. Table or downward facing dog, your preference. On an inhale, come forward to a plank. And on your exhale, again, lower yourself all the way to the mat. Bring your hands again back by your hips. Palms of the hands are going to face downwards. This time we're going to take a full locust pose. So you can lift your legs in addition to lifting your torso. On an inhale, start to lift the torso, start to lift the feet. Float yourself up. It's kind of like you're Superman flying through the sky. See if you can hold here. Just a few deep breaths. Feel the muscles at the back of your body working. Spread your toes, spread your fingers. Inhale deeply. And then as you exhale, release. Press your hands under your shoulders and come back to your child's pose. Relax Relax here. Or you can flip onto your back for a few deep breaths. As you're ready, come back to your table or to your downward facing dog, your choice. Get set up there, and then inhale, float your right foot up. As you exhale, take your right knee behind your right hand at the front of the mat. We're going towards a forward facing pigeon pose. If you know your variation, I'm going to give you a couple of different options. Feel free to go there. If not, you can join me in exploring and see what feels good. If you're here, and you think, okay, this is doable, this is possible, you might slide your left foot back, bringing your left thigh towards the floor. Feel free to untuck your toes if that feels better. I'm kind of sitting here on this front leg. Maybe you stay a little lifted. Feel free to use a block to assist you here. Or maybe you fold forward. Again, we're targeting the outside of the right hip, just like we did at the very beginning of class. You might decide, this is not quite right. Maybe it bothers your knee. It's a little too intense in the hip. You could always lift up a little bit again, sit on the outside edge of your right hip, draw your left knee kind of towards the sole of your right foot, and fold forward a little bit here. I like to imagine that I am framing my right knee with my hands. Again, a block can be very handy here. You can use it under your forearms. You can use it underneath your forehead if you want. Again, targeting this outer hip region. Maybe neither of those feels quite right, so you decide, I'm going to go back to the beginning, circle around, come onto your back, and take your right ankle over the top of your left knee. If you feel the outside of your right butt cheek, that's what we're going for. That is the function. The form is not the be-all and end-all. Take another few deep breaths here. Now, if like me, you are lying on your back and you want to stay there for the second side, it is optional to do the same variation or to try a different variation on the other side, depending on how your hips feel tonight. And if you want to stay on your back, you could simply just cross the left ankle over the top of the right knee, maybe draw the right knee to the chest. If you are facing forward, what you'll want to do is lift up if you're on the outer edge of your hip, press your hands down, and make your way back to your table or your downward facing dog. I always like to take a moment to kind of just move my hips around because you've been lying on them, they might be a little compressed. And then to come to the other side, the left foot floats behind you. The left knee now comes behind the left hand. Traditional forward facing pigeon, slide the right thigh back, untuck the toes if that feels better. You can stay pretty upright. Sometimes that feels really nice. That provides a deep stretch into your hip flexors. Or you can start to fold a little more forward, maybe use a prop. Maybe you like the pinwheel or athlete's variation, generally a little easier for those with tight hips and tight IT bands. Sitting on the outer edge of the left hip, right knee towards the left foot. That just confused me. And then maybe folding forward here. Any kind of prop that you like. And again, find the most functional variation for your body. Where do you really feel that stretch? For me tonight, it's actually on my back because I have a lot of control over drawing the right knee in. The left ankle is crossed over the right knee, and I can really feel exactly the amount of stretch I want to feel. That feels the best. So find your variation. Remember, it's totally okay if it's a different one on each side. Another deep breath here. Again, if you're facing forward, you'll come out the same way you did on the other side, lifting the body up, realigning the hips, and then taking that left leg back. You can come to table or dog and move around. If you're on your back, you can just uncross your legs, hug your knees to your chest, maybe give yourself a rock from right to left. And then those of us on the back will rock to one side. Use the hands to press up, and everybody come back, and we'll all meet in table pose. Spread your fingers nice and wide here. Inhale, find your cow. Exhale, find your cat. 2 more of each at your own pace. And just a little bit of love for the shoulders now, coming back to neutral from your cow-cat. Take your knees a little bit wider than your hips. Hips back towards the heels for your child's pose. You're going to take your left arm and thread it underneath your right armpit. Side of your head could rest to the floor. You could grab your block and put it underneath. Maybe you like to reach your right arm forward. And know that if this is not working for you, you can always do this more in a table pose. So knees a little bit more under the hips, twisting and threading the left arm under from there. Let the weight of your body gently begin to open up your shoulder. When you're ready, simply going to switch sides, unwinding the left arm, threading the right arm underneath the armpit. Again, you could have the hips more elevated, like that table pose. Maybe back in the child's pose, a little more pressure of the body onto the shoulder. As you're ready, go ahead and unthread yourself. Walk your fingertips out in front of you. Find your child's pose for a few breaths. And let this just be really soft. Let your hips be heavy towards your heels. Let your elbows rest on the floor. And as you're ready, you walk your fingertips in towards you and you come to seated. Swing your legs out to one side and bring them in front of you. Go ahead and draw your right foot in. And we'll take a twist, and you can take your twist with the right foot on the inside of the left leg, or you could cross your right foot to the outside of the left leg. If you're feeling quite flexible in your hips today, you could bring your left foot towards your right butt cheek, full Ardha Matsyendrasana. See, again, what variation feels best to you. You want both of your sits bones to be grounded down as you begin this pose. If you have your foot extended, go ahead and flex your left toes to the sky as you bring your arms up. This is your inhale. As you exhale, pick up a twist over to your right. Personally, I'm partial to hugging my knee in towards me. I especially like that in this variation because it gives another little stretch into the outer hip and into the IT band. But you're welcome to take the arm to the outside as well. Some people do hand up. See what feels just right to your body. On an inhale, come back to the center line. Unwind whatever it is you've done with your legs. Give them a little wiggle, a little shake. And you can draw your left foot in. And you can practice with the foot on the inside. You can practice with the foot on the outside. You can fold that right foot in so it's sitting kind of to the outside of the left butt cheek if that feels nice. Pick where your hips feel stable to start with. Flex the right toes if that right leg is extended. Bring the arms up as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, twist. Your choice of how to bring the arm and the leg together. Remember, it should feel good. Feel like a really nice release for your back and your hips. As you inhale, come back to the center line. Unwind your legs. Again, you can wiggle them, you can shake them. And then we're going to lie again on the floor to stretch out the backs of our legs a little bit. So if you would like to use a strap to assist you in that, now is a great time to grab it and just put it next to your mat. And then I'm going to roll with my hands behind the thighs just to protect the lower back. You could do legs and arms extended if your back feels stronger today. Lift the center of your chest as you inhale. And as you exhale, lower yourself all the way to the floor. When you get to the mat, the soles of the feet again want to come in, so the knees are pointing towards the sky. We're going to take one more bridge pose. Reach your hands down by your sides. Press the palms of the hands to the mat. Glue your belly button to the floor so you feel your pelvis starting to tilt towards you. You might feel your thighs start to activate a little bit. Relax your shoulders. And then on an inhale, lift your hips. And this one we're just going to hold for a few breaths. I want you today to be able to see your knees. So you're not lifting up so high that your knees disappear. Your hips are kind of midpoint between your shoulders and your knees. Press all 5 of your toes down into the floor. And all 5 on each foot, because that made it sound like you only have 5 toes. All 10 of your toes are pressing into the floor. Stay for a few more breaths if you can. Keep the belly button active. Imagine that you're like a little marionette and you're being held up by your belly button. It's just ever so lightly drawing up towards the ceiling. Inhale here. And as you exhale, lower your hips all the way to the floor. Allow your lower back to relax. Take your feet a little wider than your hips. Perhaps let your knees knock in towards one another. Reach your arms to the sky as you inhale. And as you exhale, wrap your arms around yourself. Give yourself a big hug. Reach your arms up. Notice which arm is in front. And just wrap the other one in front and give yourself a big hug. Reach your arms up as you breathe in. Separate your knees. And then reach your hands down, grab your right leg and draw your right knee in towards your chest. You might like to use your strap, looping your strap over the ball of your right foot. You can also hold behind your thigh or at any point behind your calf or onto your ankle or foot itself. Stretch your right leg up into the sky and then just gently bring the right leg in towards you until you feel the back of the leg begin to open. Left knee can stay where it is, or the left leg can extend to the bottom of the mat here as well. And take a few deep breaths. You might like to experiment with having the leg be straight. That's the right leg. Or having the knee be bent. You might notice that in one position or the other you get a better stretch. You might like to experiment with the position of the leg, kind of the toe above the nose, or maybe it feels better to have that foot come a little out so the toe is more above the shoulder. Find again where you feel some openness at the back of your thigh. Now you're going to take your strap, if you're using one, into your left hand and extend your right arm out to the side. If you're not using a strap, you can just let your leg be free up into the air and cross your right leg over to the left to create a twist. If you have the strap, you can use the strap to kind of create a space to hold. I'm hampered by the wall, but you can come down as far as you want. Conversely, you can always bend your knee and come back to more what we were doing earlier, a little bit more gentle in the low back. So see what feels good. Some people can hold onto their foot here, and if that's you, you are more than welcome to do so. Again, feel some pleasant, beneficial sensation in your hip and thigh. Fold the right knee in towards you. Release it from the strap if you're using it. And bring the right foot to the floor. Slide the left knee in towards you. Strap over the ball of the foot or holding onto the leg wherever feels perfect for you. Extend that left leg up. Right knee can tend. Right leg can go long. And you want to find here a little bit of openness and stretch at the back of your leg. And experiment. It might be totally different from the other side. We tend to think that everything we do should be perfectly symmetrical because we have, these mostly symmetrical body parts. We have 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 legs. The toes on one side mostly mirror the toes on the other side. But we are not perfectly symmetrical, and many times what we do during our day is not symmetrical movement. The way we sit, the way we carry our shoulder bag of our child is not symmetrical. So the sides of our bodies are going to need a little bit of different work. When you're ready, if you're using that strap, you can hold it in the right hand. You can also hold onto the leg or just let it be free. Cross the left leg to the right. You can extend the right arm for counterbalance. And again, you can go as far over to the side as feels good. You could bend the knee. The strap is here if you are using it to help you find the perfect spot and to hold you there. Find the spot that feels like the best stretch for your body. As you're ready, bring that knee back to the center line. You're going to hug your left knee to your chest. Move your strap if you're using it just out to the side. Hug your right knee to your chest. Give yourself a little rock from side to side. If you like, you can turn the soles of your feet up to the ceiling and hold on for happy baby. The knees come a little down towards the armpits. Maybe moving a little bit. And from here, you might feel completely ready to extend your arms and your legs towards Shavasana. If there is any other pose or shape that your body needs to complete this practice, you are more than welcome to add that in now. Remember that it is the function, not the form of the pose, that is important here. So Shavasana might be lying on the floor, but Shavasana could be any other comfortable pose. It could be a comfortable seat. It could be pulling your mat to the wall and putting your legs up, putting a pillow underneath your knees. All that matters is that it feels relaxing, feels good, feels nourishing to your body. time, I encourage you, as usual, to stay in Shavasana. This is such an important place, this place of rest, this place of assimilation of all of the work that we have done. If you can, stay here 5-10 minutes. If you need to move on with your day, take a deep breath in and a big breath out. Maybe turn your head a little side to side. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. And especially today, as this is a sciatica and lower back class, you might like to draw your knees into your chest for a moment before making your way over to your side to rest for a few breaths. Making your way to your most comfortable seated position this evening. Once you arrive there, you can allow your hands to come in front of your heart. All 10 fingertips pressed together, heels of the hands pressed together. We'll close with our deep breath together. In through nose, out through mouth. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing your practice and your time with me. Have a wonderful rest of your day.